This is a stack of almost 100 different sales books. Almost 100 sales books that I've read over the past 5 years while I was desperately trying to get better at sales. And if there's one thing that I wish I knew before I started reading them, it's that they all sound kind of the same. They share the same advice, just in slightly different, better or worse ways. However, there is one of these books that has stuck with me over the years, one that I've come back to time and time again, and one that I can attribute millions of dollars in revenue towards. And that book is Gap Selling by Keenan. So in this video, I'm going to extract my 3 biggest takeaways from this book and share them with you so you don't have to go and read 100 different sales books or even read this one for that fact, even though you should. So takeaway number 1, problems over solutions. Gap selling talks about how typically, especially in B2B environments, people don't often buy things for the positive outcome. Instead, what motivates them to buy things is to prevent or stop an existing problem. And this is one of the biggest things that I see sellers in all fields get wrong. When I do workshops with sales teams, one of the first questions I like to begin with is, why do people buy your product? And I'm almost always met with the same type of responses. We do this really well, or they want to make their branding better, or they want to use this part of our tool to give better customer service, or they want to use this tracking to make their website more personalized and engaging based on who's visiting. No. These are all benefits, features, and selling points. They are all positive gains, and they are all product focused. They're all focused on the features, the selling points. So that's the takeaway. People generally aren't trying to buy something because it's going to increase a number, because there is the existence or risk of a problem. That mindset shift applies to everything when it comes to sales. The questions you ask, how you position your product, how you take your product to market with prospecting, it should all be focused on the absence of your solution, not what's going to be better if someone does buy your solution. I'll make this real quick. Let's say someone comes to me and says, hey, Will, we really want to do some discovery training because we want our team to be better at discovery. I am not going to take that at face value. Your team being better at discovery doesn't really justify a 5 or potential 6-figure spend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probe in there. I'm going to ask some questions. Okay, that's great that you want your team to do better at discovery. It's really important. I'm going to guess that there's something that's not going as well as it could be with discovery today that prompted you to want to improve things. And then they go, well, yeah, we find that we're getting to the end of the discovery calls and our customers are not booking next steps with us. So the deals are dying in like stage 1. And that there is the description of a problem, which is far more compelling of a reason to buy. So it's more compelling, but it's not quite enough to send the deal home. So that's where takeaway number 2 comes in. You need to find the root cause of your customers' problems. Because for you to prove that you can solve something with your product, your service, whatever it is you sell, you need to be able to understand what's causing it, because that is what you're going to try and tie your offering to. Let's just imagine you work at PetSmart. A customer walks in and says, hey, my house smells of cat pee and I'm looking for some air freshener. You could offer to sell them an air freshener, but that's not really going to address why their house stinks of cat pee in the first place. So instead what you want to do is figure out why that problem exists to begin with, because each root cause requires a slightly different solution or a different positioning of a solution. Is the cat sick? You're going to need to take it to a vet. Is it that you forget to change the litter box? Well, we actually sell these really quite expensive but handy automatic litter boxes that automatically rotate and clean out all the cat pee and poop. Or is it that they have multiple cats and they've just been using the wrong type of litter for multi-cat households? Here, try this new litter. That should do the job. Now, I know that analogy doesn't go all the way because it's PetSmart and it's a bit transactional, and most people sell just one single product, not a whole store full of products. But the point stands, whatever you sell, you need to understand the root cause of what's causing the problems to exist in the first place, because that will better position you to show how your solution, your offering, your product, or your service actually will address that problem and get rid of it. One more example to help this stick, if I sell web design and someone comes to me and says, well, I'm upset because my website isn't converting as well as it could be. We found a problem, but we don't know what's causing that problem yet. So we might say, we need to diagnose why their website isn't converting. Does their product suck? Is their pricing way too high? Does the website look like garbage? Is it that your website gets no traffic to begin with? Web design is only going to address 1 or 2 of those root causes. So you need to understand why, so you can better prove that web design and improving the design of the website will actually convert more people. Because if you can't even get people to visit the website, then making it design better isn't really going to do anything for you either. To do this, you could ask these diagnosis questions. Could sound like, okay, what's causing that to happen? Is it that people are clicking away the moment they get to your website, or is it that they are abandoning their cart at checkout? I'm curious, you've probably got the data. What do you think is the drop-off point? By the looks and sounds of things, it seems like the people who are going to your website are clicking off and not buying anything because they don't really know where to go next because it's not intuitive. Does that sound about right? Getting all the context you can and getting the data and the numbers will help you pinpoint exactly what's causing the problem, which again will allow you to customize and tailor your pitch to prove that your solution is the best thing to solve that problem. So that's 1 and 2. Sell to problems, find the reason behind the problem because that's what you're going to prove that you solve. However, there is still one final and probably the biggest takeaway there is. You need to understand the impact of that problem. We all deal with problems every single day, but we don't necessarily go out of our way to solve them until that problem becomes so unbearable that we can't live with it anymore. So we need to understand the impact of the problem because that will get us test and understand the buyer's motivation and how much they're willing to actually spend to solve the blooming thing. If the impact of that problem is minuscule, not really having much of an effect on them or their business, then they're probably not going to go through all the effort of spending money and buying and implementing a new tool or service. Let's say they're a small business and they can work out that they're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to a problem. Well, that's worth solving. That's going to be priority number 1. So it means that they're much more likely to make a purchase, much more likely to spend more money, and they're probably going to make that purchase a lot quicker because there's urgency. Here's a relatable example. I'm not like the fittest guy in the world. I could look better. I could be like way more buff, but I'm not going to like add 2 hours of working out to my weekly schedule with 2 kids and a full-time job and running this channel and doing all these types of things unless it's actually causing me some impact. So sure, a little bit of moobage, probably not going to do anything about it. But if my wife finds me absolutely disgusting and won't even look at me or touch me, then that's probably then something that's going to motivate me to go out and do something about it. Small impact of I'm a little bit self-conscious to a big impact of my wife won't even look at me. To uncover this impact, you can ask a what happens when this happens knock-on effect line of questioning. Let's go back to that discovery call example. Okay, so your discovery calls aren't booking next steps. What percentage of calls is this happening on? And I looked online, but I didn't get the exact number. How many sales reps do you have on your team? And when deals do progress, what's like the average deal size of those deals? Oh, okay, so about half of your discovery calls are not progressing to next steps, which is lower than the industry average of around 80 to 90%. And you believe that's because your sales reps aren't doing a good enough job getting their customers to see the value in booking a next step, mainly because they haven't uncovered a compelling problem. That's happening on a team of 10 reps running 5 different introductory calls a week, and your average deal is about 10K. So is it fair to say this problem with the intro call thing is potentially losing you up to 100 deals a month, which is what, $1 million in potential revenue lost? That is impact. That is the reason why they would be willing to part with money to spend on sales training if they believe that sales training will address the root cause of their problem. Not because they want their team to get better at discovery, but because if they don't, they will continue to bleed $1 million every single month this problem persists, which leads to them not growing at the rate they wanted, which means the company doesn't grow, which means the CEO fires the VP of sales and the company fails or has to take a down round of funding. And the sales leader you're talking to probably gets fired. So no problem, no impact, no sale. That's your crash course on gap selling. Now, all of this is great for those of you who are out there who are closing deals, having really in-depth conversations with prospects. However, for those of you who are prospecting, just trying to book meetings in the first place, there isn't a ton in there for you. And that's why about a year ago, I hit Keenan up and I was like, man, you need to write another book, but this one needs to be focused entirely on prospecting because that's still a big problem for sales teams. And eventually he agreed, we started writing, and we will be launching Gap Prospecting this fall. So if you are someone who wants to get better at booking meetings, understanding why customers show interest in the very first place, you can check out the link in the description and sign up for updates, and we'll be sending out updates, pre-reads, and giving you pre-ordered information when the book is ready to go live. I will say it is freaking incredible so far. It might even trump this one. Sign up, the link's in the description, and I'll pin a comment as well so you can check that out and be in the know for when it goes live. While you're down there, click like, subscribe, all those fun things. See you next time.